Hey guys, in this episode of TFL's Hot or Not, we're comparing two cars that compete but really don't. Let me explain. To my right is an Infiniti, and to my left is the brand new BMW 4 Series, the G22. Unfortunately, as much as we try, sometimes we can't get cars that have the same power plants. So in this video, we're going to find out how good is this Infiniti with its, get this, non-drive-by-wire steering, and how good or not is the brand new BMW 4 Series. And that is coming up right now with the help of our friend Paul, the former Stig from Top Gear USA. So you too can come here to IMI Motorsports by clicking on the link below and renting the track, or going over to the motocross and trying your motorcycle out on some of the cool and fun playground here at IMI.
Under the hood of the BMW, we've got the B46 four-cylinder engine. That's a 2-liter twin-scroll turbocharged, and it makes 255 horsepower and 294 pound-feet of torque. Out of the 4 cylinders that are out there today, this is actually getting to be a fairly low-powered number, where there are plenty of them on the market now that are more up near the 300, and several that are well over 300 horsepower. So 255 horsepower, especially at our mile above sea level, probably not going to be a screamer. So we're hoping for a good, well-balanced BMW that's fun to drive regardless. Under the hood of the Infiniti, we've got a twin-turbo 3-liter V6. It's the VR30DD TT, and it makes 400 horsepower and 350 pound-feet of torque. So quite a big power advantage over the BMW. Nissan typically, and Infiniti, put their engines a little further forward. So that's one of the downsides of this platform versus a BMW platform, where you got about a 53% weight on the front of the BMW or so, and here you're looking at right around 58. So that makes it a bit more nose heavy, but a big horsepower advantage, about 145 more horsepower than we're looking at in the BMW. BMW 430i, 0 to 60 run. This is the 255 horsepower 2-liter turbocharged engine. And full left foot brake, full throttle. Lets the revs get up pretty high. I'm at about 3,100 RPMs and launch. Kicks pretty hard each gear. And then we got 5.92 seconds to 60 miles an hour. So again, pretty good for being a mile above sea level. So 5.4 seconds with the Infiniti, and I really like that power band. I don't know if you remember, but it has 400 horsepower and 350 pound-feet of torque, which is kind of weird. A lot of times today you'll have an engine that will have more torque than horsepower, especially turbocharged engines. And what you feel from a power band from that are those cars tend to have very flat power curves, which means they make a lot of torque at really low RPMs, and they kind of, as the RPMs climb, the power, even though the horsepower is climbing, the acceleration feels very linear. But this engine, because it has more horsepower than torque, it keeps pulling harder and harder, more like a naturally aspirated engine, and it gives it character. And that was kind of fun. So I like the way this engine feels. So you might not be impressed with that torque number at 350 versus the horsepower at 400, but it actually feels really cool to drive, and it feels like you really want to rev the thing up. So I like that. On the 430i xDrive, we've got Michelin Pilot 4S's, and it's a 225 on the front staggered setup with a 255 on the rear. So even though it's an all-wheel drive car, it has a staggered setup, which isn't that unusual these days. Of course, some nice big 4-piston calipers up front on these 19-inch rims, and this tire is a summer tire, so it does give it a bit of a tire advantage. So even though it's got 145 horsepower as a deficit to the Infiniti, it does have a sportier tire, because as we'll see, the Infiniti's on an all-season tire. Now, with both cars being all-wheel drive, I did mention the big horsepower disparity between them, 145 horsepower. We also have a big weight distribution difference too, with that big V6 sitting up front and a little bit further forward on the Infiniti. It's got a bit more weight on the nose. So this uses a square tire setup that's a 255. So it's got a bigger front tire than the BMW, though it is an all-season, and also using a 255 in the rear.
Q60S Infiniti. 400 horsepower, 350 pound-feet of torque. Park sensors. All-season tires, unfortunately. Pretty high performance all-season tires, but still all-season tires. To it at all. No steering feel, no chassis feel, just completely numb. Great engine though. Transmission's pretty good. Lots of understeer and really numb steering. Wooden brake pedal. Very hard, it kind of pushes back against you. So a lot of areas, things that could be really, really good with this car, like amazing engine, kind of ruined by a very numb chassis. And again, kind of hurt, handicapped a bit by having all seasons on it.
All right, Paul, there you go.
Yeah, that seems about right, actually.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So it sounds good from the outside.
Yeah.
So with over 100 horsepower or less, you think the BMW can get anywhere near that?
I think it will get fairly close. We'll see.
All right,
That's a big horsepower deficit, but chassis-wise, unless they really mess that car up, it should be in with a fight.
Well, let's find out.
Yeah.
BMW, of course, builds a direct competitor to the Infiniti, but interestingly, this Infiniti is 65,000-ish, and this BMW is 61. So price-wise, even though they don't compete directly, they're not that far apart. And of course, Paul, I got to ask you, what do you think of the double kidney grille on the BMW?
I'm old enough to remember the controversy of the Bangle butts that BMW did with the old 745s, and Chris Bangle is the chief designer then, and those cars had all the controversy, and I thought, okay, it was kind of over. Maybe BMW's found their way, and then they unleashed this on us. And it's not good, is it?
Yeah.
It's not good. You've got to be like a total BMW fanboy or someone that is completely styling clueless to go, this is okay.
If you think of like the E36 as being kind of the quintessential BMW, remember those two little small kidney grills on that? Yeah, I mean, there is a arms race right now happening. I think Lexus kicked it off with that spindle grill, and it's gotten freaking ridiculous. All right, here you go. Thank you, sir.
All right, 430i. Going for a lap time. Not as much motor as the Infiniti, but we got Pilot 4S's, better brakes, so much better. Just better balance all around. Of course, the tires are a big help here, but just generally the chassis, the steering, everything better. up for 145 horsepower. Brakes are so much better. Just remember, guys, feel is confidence. And if you can't feel what the car's doing, you're just sort of hanging on, hoping it does what it's supposed to do. But when it has feel, it's predictable and confidence inspiring, and you don't worry about anything anymore. The brakes, you know they're going to work. Everything you know works because you feel connected to it. That's the big difference.
So it was quicker. I'll be darned. Over 100 horsepower less. But tires, and I suspect, well, just driving dynamics. Let's see what Paul says.
There we go.
By what?
It wins by a nose.
Exactly.
Not a pretty nose.
But a nose,
but a nose.
So once again, so tires, right, better.
Yep.
Less horsepower.
Less horsepower, way less.
But chassis and steering.
Yeah, and brakes.
And brakes. Yeah.
Everything about it dynamically. Again, definitely time in the tires.
Yeah.
But just a better overall balanced car, better weight distribution, and a lighter car. So sometimes that can offset a higher horsepower car.
Yeah, seriously lighter. I think it's like, what,
300 pounds, yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot of weight.
Yeah.
Well, there we go.
There we go. BMW wins the day.
BMW still has it, man.
I guess we didn't need a 340i after a 350i after all.
No, this one is fast enough, man.
Yep.
Really, Paul? The BMW won by a nose? Really? Is that, you're going with that?
It won by a big nose, a ginormous,
all right. Let's start.
Grandiose nose.
Let's start with the Infiniti. Is it hot or not?
The engine is
Okay.
just I would almost call it an epic engine. It's just a marvelous engine. It has this wonderful pull all the way up to Redline. My dream car would be put that engine in the BMW, maybe. It is a mashup. Can we do like a literal mashup?
All right, so the BMW, $4,000 less, 145 horsepower less. Is it hot or not?
I mean, that's the thing. I think just by what you said, it has to be. How do you overcome a 145 horsepower deficit to turn a quicker lap time? I mean, it shows you
Better tires,
better chassis, better steering, much better brakes, all of those things. You could really just grab this thing by the scruff of the neck and drive it like you want to drive a BMW, like you'd want to drive any sort of sports coupe. And it's what BMWs are known for, where the ultimate driving machine moniker came from. And this car kind of lives up to that promise. I guess the Infiniti sort of does on paper, and it does with a great engine, but the rest of it is a bit of a disappointment and much more of a luxury cruiser. While the BMW, yeah, it gets the job done.
As always, this is Roman.
And this is Paul.
Saying thanks for watching, and check out TFLcar.com for more news, and of course, hot or not, with the former Stig reviews. See you guys next time. Ciao.